Hey, what's up guys, and first of all, I'm not going to be continuing what if Naruto had the most powerful weapon, as I can see that did not receive a lot of good impressions. Most of you did not like it, so here is something else guys. I got this idea some time back, I've been working on it, so yeah, I think it's finally time for me to release it, to replace the one I've taken down. Don't worry, what if Naruto was a Seal Master is on its way. What if Naruto was a Grand Priest and the Omni King is on his way. So here is a brand new series. Part 1 of What If Naruto was betrayed by Team 7 and found an ancient clan. Yes. So if you want to enjoy a lot of epic battles, bloodlusted hatred, and a lot of intense emotional conflicts, just sit back, relax, and yeah, enjoy. And don't forget, if you're new, I indeed have 3 more channels. All links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out and enjoy. So without further ado, wasting more time, how about we begin this now guys? We begin this episode in a very special location. It started out with a bang, literally. There was a strange amulet as it cracked and then exploded, throwing every members that was nearby away. Kakashi Hatake eyes went wide as he jumped forward and reached out. Kakashi grabbed onto both Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki. Lying on the ground unable to move was their third teammate, Sakura Haruno. All of them were a part of Team 7 and Kakashi was their sensei. At the moment, things were extremely bad. It was around a month ago that Team 7 had their first mission outside the village, where they made their way towards the land of Wave. A lot happened. A lot that made them see themselves and everything around them differently. On that mission, that young boy Naruto Uzumaki, blonde hair, blue-eyed, 3 whisker marks on both cheeks, gained a new perspective on everything. However, all of that was about to change. Team 7 went on another C rank. However, it seems that their luck was so bad as the mission was elevated to higher levels. Their mission was simple. They were supposed to retrieve an amulet from bandits who had stole it. It was said to be a special jewel. Unfortunately though, the bandits were not just bandits. The leader of the group was a very powerful man, hailing from the land of lightning. He was a very powerful ninja, a missing name within the bingo book, listed as a high A rank, and he had friends, a lot of them. However, with the collaboration of Team 7 working together, both Naruto and Sasuke and Kakashi Hatake there, they were able to fight him off. However, the amulet was activated. This was no normal amulet. Upon activation, it sucked every participant around chakra within it. It is said that the wielder will then use said chakra to empower themselves to levels beyond expectations. However, the problem was the amulet had a limit. Upon sucking the chakra of Naruto out, it started to feed on the chakra that was deep within him. The chakra of the 9 tails, a powerful mythical beast. The amulet origins were rather unknown to many. However, it wasn't some ancient tool or something that was blessed by the gods. It was man-made and it had limitations. And when that limitation reached, it broke, causing the explosion that threw all of them away. The problem was where they were located. They were at the Valley of No Return. That was the name of this place. They had climbed up a mountain top. Beyond them was a vast open canyon, and the drop was so steep. The reason why it was named the Valley of No Return was because if you were to drop inside, there was no return. Many has tried to reach the bottom by using chakra to stick to their feet. However, after going down for some time, they never came back up. For years, many had tried to understand the secrets of this valley, but they were unable to, having no knowledge of what lies at the bottom. So people simply stop wasting their life and move on to something better. However, it did get a huge tourist boost. And Team 7 problem was their mission was at this very place. Every single member that was currently up was exhausted. Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi as well, as his Sharingan was barely showing anything but blurry vision. Kakashi did not possess the strength. The amulet drained a lot of their chakra. Within this world, chakra is tied to everything. Strength, stamina, force, speed. Kakashi did not possess the strength to lift the both of them. And he was failing. Yes, he was. As both boys had their head hang low, unable to even lift their head. The mere fact that Kakashi was holding on to both was a testament of how strong his will was to hold on to save them. However, his will had a limit as well. They started to slip. Sakura Haruno watched as both boys were dangling. She tried to move, but she did not possess the strength to do so. She could not reach. Kakashi was losing them, and if he didn't help one, both of them were going to die. The mere thought of her love falling to his death, it hurted her heart astronomically. She couldn't even fathom a world where Sasuke wasn't in it. The words came out before she could even stop them. "Save Sasuke," Kun, she screamed. In that moment, the blonde that had been obsessed with her for the longest time now was baffled that those words would even left her lips. Kakashi saw that he only had seconds to make a move, as he could not hold the two of them. His mind drifted back to his friend, his Uchiha friend, and he wanted to do right by him by protecting the remaining Uchiha. However, he also thought about his blonde, hyperactive student. And something came to mind. The Ninetales. The power of Naruto healing ability. Perhaps Naruto might survive the fall. But if Sasuke fall, he would certainly die. Kakashi in that moment decided to make a decision. The reasonable one. The one that would only make sense. He decided to take feelings out of this, and even then it was hard. He had the fate of the Uchiha clan left in his hand, and he had the legacy of his sensei left in his other hand as well. Not to mention the power of the Ninetales that the village has been keeping for years now. But that was the big thing. The power of the beast would save Naruto. He told himself he believed that the power of the beast would save Naruto's life. But if Sasuke were to fall, with his lack of chakra he would die. He remembered what happened on the bridge, the rage. How Naruto had gotten back to his feet even after suffering great damage because of the Ninetales. In that moment he made his choice. He released the grip of Naruto as he grabbed Sasuke's hand with both of his. Naruto Uzumaki started to fall. Because of the position that he was now in, he was able to see his sensei's face. Kakashi felt a pain rip through his heart as he saw the betrayal, the shock, agonizing betrayal on his student's face. But he had no choice. He pulled Sasuke to the surface. As he collapsed on his back, neither of them fully able to move, his body needing time. The look on Sasuke's face was shock as well. As he tried to see over the edge, however, he couldn't move at all. But seeing what was below, the emptiness, the black, cold emptiness, there was no way the dope could survive that. He was dead. It made Sasuke think back to when he jumped in the way to save Naruto from those needles. However, it was his time to make the sacrifice. Because he couldn't afford to die here. He had to avenge his clan. He had to take Itachi down. Sakura was able to look up just because of the position that she was in, as she saw Sasuke safe. But that meant, as she couldn't even look fully over, there was no word said between either of them, as all of them understand the implications. All of them understood what that meant. Kakashi was desperately hoping, praying to see a flicker, praying to feel it. He would understand if Naruto hated him, but he was hoping to see the rage, the explosion of chakra. However, there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. The last thought that he had before exhaustion claimed him, having used up his strength to pull Sasuke up. What have I done? He said. Time skip. There was no pain, no anguish. He thought there would be pain in his final moments. Upon realizing that, there was nothing to grab onto, nothing to hold onto. With how weak he was certainly going to die. Surprisingly though, he wasn't upset. He wasn't angry. He only had one thought in that moment. He would finally get to meet his parents. He always wanted to meet them. He never knew them. Gigi was always telling him that they died during the Nine-Tail attack. Upon finding out that he was a host of the Nine Tails, there was always this inner turmoil with himself, knowing that he carried the same beast that was responsible for his parents' death. However, knowing that he was falling and there was nothing to hold on to, nothing to save him, it gave him this sense of peace, calm, absolute, because he was free. He never thought that this would be his feelings in his final moments. It surprised him too. But they were so calming and wonderful. He simply allowed himself to fall into the abyss. That is when something happened. A powerful ancient seal appeared. Most people would not be able to pass this point. They would simply vanish. However, upon making contact with the seal, two pair of slitted eyes opened up within the mind of young Naruto. In that moment, his entire body was enshrouded in a cloak of powerful chakra. It wrapped around him, protecting him like a cocoon. His body crashed down on the seal, and with a phenomenal amount of luck, the chakra clashed with the seal, creating a small rift, allowing his body to drop right through, every ounce of chakra leaving him. As he fell, there was another problem though. The chakra of the fox had been pushed away with him falling through, and the beast could not send him as much in so little time, so he was going to fall to his death. However, there was a strange light There was a light that encompassed the area, causing Naruto's eyes to open up. Just a bit. The next thing he knew, someone grabbed him, slender arms wrapping around him, holding on to him. He looked up. There was only one word, angel, Naruto said. As a beautiful, no, stunning, drop-dead gorgeous woman smiled at him, and he blacked out. She saved his life. Time skip. With Team 7, the mission was a failure. The amulet had been destroyed. However, that wasn't the biggest thing that had happened on this mission. Everyone was quiet. Yes, it was the first time that they've lost someone, that being Sakura and Sasuke. Sakura felt terrible. In that moment of thinking about losing Sasuke, she said something that she shouldn't have. And now, Naruto was dead. There was a big problem with the canyon walls. Kakashi come to learn a reason why people died upon trying to explore it. You could not stick to the walls with chakra. Kakashi had tried to use a rope. However, it seems like the more he went, the more there was nothing. It was just an empty bottomless pit. And there was no end to it. Nothing at all. There was no way that Naruto would have survived that. No one would. As he had no idea how the pit did not possess a bottom. Just one of the wonders of the world, perhaps. Team 7 was quiet as they made their way back to the village, failing their mission and losing a comrade. It bothered Sasuke. He told himself that it shouldn't bother him, but it did. He needed to survive to kill Itachi, so why? Why was he this upset? He shouldn't be this upset, he told himself. And yet, the fact that Naruto was gone, it bothered him greatly. Team 7 arrived to Konoha. Words barely said between them other than when they greet each other upon waking up. After all, it took them 2 days to get back. No one seemed to be in a rush. Even their sensei, the one that should be helping them out of this, seemed to be lost himself. Quiet, unresponsive mostly. All of them having a lot to mentally deal with. Having all felt responsible of making this decision. This decision that was going to change everything. Upon returning back, Izumo and Kitetsu were confused. Upon leaving for the mission, Naruto declared that this was going to be his greatest mission yet. As Kakashi was signing in, "Kakashi, where's the loudmouth brat?" Izumo asked, in a friendly gesture of fun. Kitetsu, though, realized what happened. It wasn't often that the young generation are expunged, especially in this time, a time of less war and chaos. So it took Izumo a while to catch on. However, the moment his eyes met with Kakashi, he understood. As he looked towards the other two, a shock-written look on his face. Despite no one knowing, it was like they all knew. As the group moved and walked, making their way towards the office, it was like they possessed this sadness aura that surrounded them enough for everyone to feel it despite their distance and location. Upon reaching to the tower, Hiruzen Sarutobi's eyes was fixated on every single member. As he simply looked at them, no words were said. It seems like an eternity, but in reality it was just a few seconds. Mission report, Hiruzen said. His eyes and word seemed to be devoid of all emotion, as he too understood exactly what was going on. The Valley of No Return. Hiruzen knew of it rather well. He knew how many has lost their life trying to understand the secrets of the valley, and none has ever returned, none to tell. It was a wonder of the world that no one could truly understand or explore. It seems like the heavens themselves knew that there was a lot of pain and sorrow at the moment. Ayame and Tuki, members of the Ichiraku family, they owned the restaurant. Their most delightful customer was being led to rest. There wasn't even a corpse to bury, just the memory and thought of him. Sakura's teammate, Sasuke's teammate. His sensei Kakashi was nowhere to be seen. The younger members of the generation that just graduated, they could all say that they knew Naruto rather well. The hyperactive blonde, they all knew him rather well. Kurenai UI was hugging Hinata, who was full on tearing down. There wasn't much interaction, so Kurenai did not know the strong feelings the girl had for the blonde. She had no idea as she watched the sorrow, the sadness, the pain, the anguish. Asuma, they arrived as their team was there as well. All of them. Despite it being someone laid to rest, there wasn't much people here. Hiruzen, the rookies, their sensei, except for Kakashi, that is, the Ichiraku family, and Konohamaru. And that was all. There was no one else that was here. It was a rather sad outcome. However, this was the life of most ninjas. And death was a part of the game. And the game was being a shinobi. Everyone was gone. That is when he finally arrived. Kakashi Hatake stood in front of the tombstone, looking down at the name. Guilt. Guilt was overwhelming him. Despite saving one, he condemned one to death. What does that make him, he thought to himself, as he stood there, unable to even look himself in the goddamn mirror. However, he wasn't the only one going through it. Hinata was broken to hear that the boy that she idolized and loved was now gone. It shattered the girl's soul and spirit to find out this. Sakura Haruno couldn't shake the pain and anguish that she was feeling because of what she said and because of how she treated him since they got into the academy. Sasuke was hating the feeling that he was feeling right now, because as much as he acted, Naruto was a friend of his, perhaps his only real friend. After all, no one else could tolerate or stand him, and he disliked all of the fangirls, including Sakura as well. So the fact that he was gone, and the fact that he had to live and he died, it was bothering him, greatly so. Meanwhile, wherever he was, time seemed to flow differently. It wasn't accelerated or slowed down, but it was just a different formation of time. Because this place was special. Maybe there was lapse in time between this place and the real world. Or maybe there was continuance, or maybe there was simply a structure out of time. But the flowing time in the real world still moved the same. It was a confusing thing to even think about. Finally, after what seemed like ages, he opened his eyes. Awake. The first thing that he saw was a dark sky. No light, no stars. And yet somehow he could see the darkness, which made no sense, but at the same time it did. He pulled himself up. Where am I? The memories hit down on him like a brick as he remembered everything. The words, the look, his hand being released. He felt this tightness in his chest, this pain that he couldn't describe. It was hard to describe. He got to his feet as he looked around, trying to understand where he was. The last thing you remember was being embraced by an angel. Naruto's eyes went wide, realizing what was going on. He died. Perhaps because he had the 9 tails, he was taken to hell. He never really believed in that. He never really believed in much. However, he knew about those things from books that he, well, not read mostly, but skimmed over. That is why the sky was so black. He was in hell. He was going to be tortured by demons. How was he gonna escape? He started to look around frantically. However, that is when he heard footsteps. Immediately he spun around trying to reach for anything. However, his pouch was not on him and he had no weapons at all. He raised his hand. However, what he saw was not a demon, not the devil, not anything wicked. In fact, it looked like an angel. Yes, an angel. No, you're not dead, she said, almost gliding over towards them. She had snow white hair, crystal blue eyes, a heart-shaped face. She was dressed in an elegant white dress. One could mistake her for an angel, especially given Naruto's predicament. Where am I? He said, looking at her confused. If he was not dead, then where is he? The next moment she was in front of him. As she rested a hand on his cheek, a loving smile on her face. You're in a special place where those bad people can't hurt you anymore. Hurt me? Said Naruto, looking at her. As the realization came to him, I have to get back. They think I'm dead. Shh, she said, stopping him. Why would you want to get back? Don't you remember what happened? That girl, she rather saved the other one over you. And your teacher, your sensei, he allowed you to fall to save his prize student. You always knew deep down that he cared for him more, and that your teammate also cared for him more. They allowed you to fall, not caring about your safety or your health. If it wasn't for me, you would have been dead. Naruto looked at her. Before he started to question everything revolving around his friendship. How do you know those things? He said to her. I saw them in your mind, Naruto Uzumaki. Or should I say, Naruto Namikaze. Namikaze? He said, confused. There is so much that you don't know, she said, taking both of his cheeks in her hands. So much that they've kept away from you. However, I'll be the one to reveal it all to you. I will never, ever lie to you, she said to him with a smile. Naruto looked at her, captivated by everything about her. What's your name? He said. That was the first thing that came to his mind, as she was holding his cheeks that were becoming rather red, given the proximity of where they were standing. You can call me Rita, she said, as she took his hand. As Naruto had no idea why he was allowing her to lead him, but he had no idea where he was or what was going on. The next moment he saw a house came into view. As she waved her hand and the door opened, they stepped inside. The door closed behind him as lights emerged everywhere. The place was colossal. It seems like it had over thousands of rooms running in different directions. She brought him to seated. Upon sitting down, she sat right beside him. I think we should have a proper conversation, but first, let us truly introduce ourselves, she said. She held out her hand. As I told you, you can call me Rita. Naruto took her hand. Naruto Uzumaki, he said, still confused what she meant by that weird Name name. He didn't fully know it. She looked at him like she was concerned, given the smile on her face. The first thing I think you should know is, those people at that village, they're not your friends. What? Said Naruto. You're hearing me correctly. They're not your friends. None of them. Not even the man that you call Gigi. He wants nothing for you. All of them. They've been nothing but liars and backstabbers. And now, they betrayed you, allowing you to fall and plummet to your death, with the only concern being their own. No, that's not. There must be some reason. Kakashi must have believed that. Listen to me, she said. He released you and you felt it. And you heard what that girl said. She didn't care about your safety. All she wanted was the Uchiha to be safe. None of them care about you. Naruto got up, backing away. No, it's not like that, he said. There is some other reason. Something I'm not seeing. There had to be. They wouldn't do that to me. They're my friends. My comrades. And you don't leave a comrade behind. My teacher was the one that told me that he would never betray me like this. But he did. And you know it, she said. No, it's... Naruto sat back down, looking rather defeated, unable to justify what had happened to him. It's alright, she said. Everything is going to be alright. As she brought his face up to look at her. However, before there is pleasure, there has to be pain, she said. The reason I called you that name earlier was because you are the son of Minato Namikaze. Minato... what? Your father. Otherwise known as the Yellow Flash. Most importantly, the fourth Hokage of the Hidden Leaf. Naruto looked at her speechless. You're joking, right? She shook her head, looking at him with a smile, as that never left her face. That is why I told you that. None of them want goodness for you. The third Hokage knew this, and despite the kind of life that you should be living, he left you in Swallers, placing you in a confined home, with populace that see you as nothing but a monster. Even after trying your hardest, they never truly see you. They try to ignore your very existence like you're nothing, like you're no one. And he knew this. But not just him, but your sensei as well. He was your father's student. Naruto looked at her. For some undefiable reason, he could not see her words to be lies. He didn't know why, but it felt like all of them were truthful. How would you know this? Said Naruto, looking at her, ready to break down in tears. Naruto had a very powerful will, however. He was being hit from left to right here, and it was hard. I told you when I first saw you how I knew these things. I was able to dive in your mind while you were unconscious. One of my very special abilities of this world that you've found yourself in, she said. I've seen it. Let me show you. She reached forward and tapped him on the forehead. In that moment, Naruto saw it all. He saw it through a third-party vision, a baby Naruto on the ground, while his parents lovingly stood over him, taking the claw of the nine-tail in their stomach. Naruto watched it play out as the fourth Hokage was dead and his red-haired wife. He didn't know her name. Her name is Kushina Uzumaki. Rita said, standing beside Naruto, surprising him. Look, she said, stopping him from speaking, as the third arrived. Not too long after, Kakashi arrived as well. Naruto was baffled. The next moment he was back in the chair, her hand removing from his head. As I said, before there is pleasure there has to be pain. And I know that it's very painful, but it's something that you have to experience for you to see that you've been used and tricked and lied to on countless occasions. But I want to fix that. I want to be the one to be your salvation, to change everything for you. Naruto did not speak. He did not react to her words. His mind completely blown. However, more than anything, he was feeling pain. Not physical pain, but emotional pain. It was extremely stressful, as his mind tried to cope with everything that he was just told. As he simply sat there, unmoving, quiet, not moving at all. The next moment, though, she enveloped him in a tight embrace. It was a feeling that he could not describe. He never felt it before. This warm, loving hug. "It's alright," she said. "It's okay to release your pain. Let it out. Let it all out." And that is what he did. He cried. The pain, the emotional feelings, they overwhelmed him, and he cried right there as she held him to her chest and allowed him to cry. It took him a couple of minutes before he was able to regain himself, as he found himself a bit embarrassed. However, she had this loving, caring look that made him feel okay. He still couldn't understand. "Why would they do this to me?" he said. "Why would they lie to me? Why would he allow me to fall after all that he said?" And Sakura, I understand that she cared for Sasuke, but even if she doesn't like me, I'm her teammate, her comrade. And yet she said that. "Why?" he said, anger seeping into his tone. "Because they can't be trusted. None of them can be trusted," she said to him. "I was once like you," she said. "However, my situation got me in a more permanent lock away." "What do you mean?" said Naruto. "Well, I'll tell you a story. There was once this beautiful princess living, enjoying her life with her family, when one day something came from the heavens. At first, the princess didn't pay it any mind. She believed that as long as she doesn't interfere with it, it wouldn't interfere with her. But she was wrong. This thing started to change everything around it. It started to affect the people, causing them to war against one another. And this thing enslaved the people. It locked them away in cocoons, stripping them of everything, their emotions, their humanity, their chakra, turning them into mindless subjects, only releasing a few with their memories wiped. This thing then went on to have 2 children. However, this thing was so evil and rotten that even her children realized that. So, her children locked her away. However, her children did something rather stupid. Well, one of them, it gave the people around it special abilities. Special abilities that they used to wage war over and over and over again. But the princess, she had enough, so she decided to stop all of this. However, that thing's son, it used a very special power to lock her away as well, and lock away all of her people, trapping her for a very, very long time. "Why would they do that?" said Naruto. "Because they're very bad people, and they deserve to be punished for what they did." They went on, causing nothing but death and destruction, when all the princess wanted to do was to be happy with all the people around. The princess was never causing any problem. All the princess always does is help. That was all she does. Help. And watch over her people, but that thing and its children, it caused so much problem, and then they left the world in the state that it is now. What I'm saying to you is not a story. It is reality, she said. What do you mean? That thing that I told you about. They call her the Rabbit Queen, or Goddess, whatever they want to call her. A wicked woman that came to this world. She had 2 children, and one of them He was the one that gave the world chakra. Chakra? You mean, yes, what you have. But tell me this, Naruto. Do you really think that he did the right thing? But if he didn't, I wouldn't have it, said Naruto. Yes, that is true. But think about it this way. Millions of people have perished because of war. Do you have any idea how many people die in the first, second, third Shinobi War? Do you have any idea how many people die on a daily basis? Because many, with this power that is known as chakra, believe that they are untouchable and they can do whatever they want. Do you know how many people hurt others? Make them truly suffer because they feel superior. Beat them, take them, and use them as they please. Do you have any idea, she said, looking at him. Naruto truly did not, as he looked at her. Well, it is not your fault. You didn't know, she said. However, you can fix it. What do you mean? This world is broken, rotten to its core. And you can fix it all. I can, said Naruto. Yes. With my help, of course. But first, I will introduce myself properly. My name is Rita Oda, the former leader of the Oda Clan. Oda Clan, what's that? Said Naruto. I'm not surprised you're not aware of it, however. The Oda Clan was one of the most powerful clans to ever form on this planet. Really? Said Naruto. She nodded her head. Yes. It was a very, very long time ago, in an age beyond the elemental nation. You see, Naruto, us Odas, we don't use chakra. You don't? No. We use something we call spiritual energy. A very long time ago, at the beginning of everything, there was this being that came into existence. A spiritual being. That is where my people bloodline originates from. Throughout ages, that bloodline managed to reach the world that we now live in. And my people were blessed to walk amongst them. Other humans were born with no physical attributes or special abilities. However, us Odas did not see them as a threat, nor did we want them to see us as a threat. So we came to a peaceful agreement where all of us would be able to unite without any problems, as long as we don't get in each other's way. That was until that thing came. A woman known as Kaguya Osusuki, calling herself the Rabbit Goddess. She was the one that changed everything. Her and her two sons. The moment they touched down on this planet, there was nothing but chaos, havoc and destruction. To see how truly evil she was, she had a partner. However, she killed that partner immediately upon arriving, showing just the kind of person she was. Upon seeing her actions, we spoke to her on behalf of the Oda Clan to show her that we didn't want anything revolving around her or what she brings. We came to an agreement. However, her words were just as fake as everything about her. And soon, she wanted to be the one that was in charge. However, mindlessly controlling the populace was something that we couldn't stand for. So we fought. However, she had some very destructive power at her disposal. My people were never meant for battle. They didn't want war. They were inexperienced when it came to war and chaos. So they lost. A lot of them lost. However, her sons finally put an end to her. We plead with her son to stop his madness, knowing just how much chakra was going to make everyone suffer in the long run. But still, he decided to do what he did because he felt superior and more powerful than us. We fought him to try and stop him, but He locked us away, destroying every single other Odas. Their physical form are no longer with us, but their spiritual form can never truly be destroyed. He bound me to this place, locking me away, making sure that I could never ever leave. This canyon, I've been here for thousands of years, all alone, no friends, nothing, no one, she said. It's been horrible, she said. The next moment she found herself held by Naruto. It's alright, he said. I understand what it means to be alone. Not used to these kind of things, he tried his best. As she held him back, being taller than him, it was a bit uncomfortable, but she stuck it out and held on to him. Thank you, she said to him. She smiled at him happily. As they broke apart, you said I can help you. How? Said Naruto. Well, it's simple. You can do what he did all those years ago. However, you can simply reverse it by taking away humanity's chakra. And then, we can fix this world. But how? Said Naruto. Well, without chakra, there will no longer be missions, because there will no longer be superhuman individuals that have powers to sway others to their command. Even if there are some that try to bully others with weapons, we can easily stop that, because, as I said to you, we don't rely on chakra, we rely on spiritual energy. Wait, we? I thought you said you were alone. Oh, I'm counting you in as well, she said. Really? But I'm not a Oda. Oh, I can get around that, she said, and allow you to awaken your spiritual energy. I'm not finished yet though, she said. Without war, there won't be any need for ninjas. And without ninjas, there won't be any bloodshed. No longer will thousands be sent to their death, to suffer and to fight and to betray. That word stung at Naruto's heart. And there will no longer be people hurting one another. We can set law and order in this world. We can fix it, she said. And you can also free me from this prison, allowing me to bring my brethren back to this world, granting them physical form once again. With you by my side, we can fix this broken world, she said to him. So there will never be a situation like what happened ever again. There will never be a situation where comrades betray and lie to one another despite what they say. We can fix it all, but I need your help to do so. Naruto, will you help me? She said to him, as Naruto simply looked at her. Time skip. It felt weird. She was projecting his consciousness. The both of them stood over the hidden leaf. Look, she said. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw Team 7 with a new member, a dark-haired, pale-skinned boy. The next moment they were in the office. Jeje, Naruto shouted. How could you just replace me? He shouted at the man. However, the Hokage did not respond. I told you, they can't hear us. The next moment they were back within her realm. She couldn't hold on for that too long. She swayed slightly. Are you okay? Said Naruto, worry in his tone. I will be fine, she said. It's just, since he trapped me here, locking majority of my power away, it's hard to interact with the real world. And I still cannot communicate or even speak to anyone. It's been awful, she said. If you know that it was going to be that painful, why? Why would you show it to me? Said Naruto. You were gonna get hurt. Because I wanted you to see that I would never mislead you. I would never lie to you, she said. These people are not good. They're corrupted and twisted. And the only way to fix it all is to start over by purging everything. And then there will be peace. Maybe in that new world, they wouldn't even think of betraying you. So the option is now in your hand. Do you want to return back to a life of lie? Or do you want to be the one to be hailed as a legend even after millions of years after your passing for saving the elemental nation? Naruto stood there silent for a moment before he snapped his gaze up. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll fix this world and I'll free you and your people. I promise. And I never go back on my word, he said. He was fed up with all of the lies, the betrayal. He was going to fix it all. She smiled. Well then, let us begin the ritual, she said to him. Ritual? Said Naruto. Time skip. Naruto was strapped down to an altar, his arms and legs spread. He was no longer wearing a shirt. It's going to hurt, isn't it? He said. Yes, there shall be pain, she said. But after which, there shall be pleasure, she smiled. As she stepped towards them, she held her hand out, and 10 strange orbs appeared, glowing and floating, each of them showing a different color. They started to spin in a hypnotic way as Naruto looked at them. Spiritual energy is in all. However, none other than the Oda Clan can use it the way we do. Therefore, I will have to kickstart your body into releasing and absorbing spiritual energy, she said. How are you going to do that? By forcefully opening your spiritual gate. The process will be painful. A pain that you've never felt before, but after which, you will feel unbelievable. As she stepped towards him, you are the only one that would be able to survive this process because of your blessed Uzumaki genes that grant you a rather powerful regeneration ability, and the fox that is currently living inside of you. He shall be big help, she said. As there was a look on her face when she spoke about the fox, a look that Naruto could not define at all. However, his mind was worried about the pain. Do not worry, she said. I'll be by your side the entire time. He nodded his head. As the process was about to begin, she stepped towards him. As she brought her hand out, she bit down on her hand. Naruto's eyes widened. I'm okay, she said. However, there was blood, a lot of it leaking from her hand. She used her blood to paint his form, drawing strange markings over his body, each of them having a strange circle open. Naruto waited until she was done. I'm about to begin. Brace yourself. The orbs in her hand flew out of her hand and flew to every point of Naruto's body, the last one going into his forehead. Naruto felt a bit of pain. Was that it? He wondered. That wasn't anything at... Naruto was cut off. He opened his mouth and released a blood-curdling scream. A scream that shook the very air around them, shaking everything. Everything was tearing apart. A violent scream that ripped out of his throat. A blood-curdling, painful, agonizing, terrible scream. It was horrific. As Naruto kept on crying to the point that tears were leaking from his eyes, her blood started to fuse with his skin, bonding with him. As Naruto's body started to glow brightly, his eyes started to glow. Everything started to tremble. The markings on him started to fuse into his skin even more. A bright, all-consuming light then overtook him and swallowed him whole. As she stood there watching, her expression never changing from that smile. When she saw the light dying down, her smile increased. As she moved to his side, she placed her hand on his chest, and her smile widened even more. As Naruto was unconscious, lying there, not moving. However, he was okay. She watched as a bright, purple energy started to circulate around his body, cracking the platform that he was on. Spiritual energy flowing out of him like a river. This place was a conduit of that. She looked at her hand as her own spiritual form was being sucked into him. All she did was smile though before she backed away. She knew it. He was special indeed. It was fate that he was brought to her. Her smile stretched widened, her face changing from that angelic look to rather demonic. However, she was still a woman, not a creature. She started to speak to herself. "I told you, Hagoromo," she said. "You could not confine me forever. And now, I have found my champion. He shall be the one to shatter every limitations that you've placed on me. And once I'm free, the Oda Clan will rise once again. And once it does, this perfect world that you've created, this world that you were so great and focused on that will survive, despite the horrific change that you've made, I'll rip it apart, piece by piece until there is nothing left. And that boy over there, he shall be the one that begins it all," she said. The smile on her face extremely wide. There were certain informations that she kept away from Naruto. She did not lie, but she kept things away from him. Things that he did not need to know right now. As she watched, her face returning back to normal as Naruto woke up. Naruto jumped down off the podium, the restraint having broke off his hand. As he stood on his feet a bit wobbly. "How do you feel?" she said. I feel amazing," he said to her. Power flowing through him. The seal that was once on his stomach started to melt away like water. Like ice melting into water. As Naruto did not even notice that. As the purple aura that was on him earlier started to reinvent itself, even more powerful than before, as Naruto made an accidental move. The next moment, the stone podium was reduced to rubbles. The look on his face was one of pure shock. He had simply bumped it. "How did I?" "Spiritual energy is a lot different from chakra," she said, stepping towards him. "Think of chakra as a hammer. Hitting a surface, it cracks. But think of spiritual energy as a bomb. When it hits a surface, everything explodes into rubbles and dust. I will teach you everything that you need to know to harness and control this power. And then, you shall begin the fixing of mankind and the fixing of this world." Naruto stepped towards her. "I'll do whatever I can to fix this world and free you and your people." She leaned forward and hugged him. "No, that's what I wanted to hear," she said, holding on to him. Meanwhile, that was going on. They got a new teammate. His name was Sai. She missed Naruto. Not just because she hated Sai and he annoyed her. She missed him. Sakura hasn't been doing well. She couldn't shake the feeling that she got every time she remembered what she said. It was guilt. She was overtaken by so much guilt. The fact that she shouted at Kakashi to save Sasuke, despite all that Naruto has done for her. Thinking back, she wasn't a good comrade. She wasn't a good friend. Nor was she a good person to him at all. And the guilt was a lot. But she truly and utterly hated Sai. She really wished that Sai was never a part of this team. She hated him. Truly so. He was arrogant, selfish, self-loathing, and only care about himself, it seems, from his words and his actions. Not to mention him saying that the previous member of their group was not strong enough if he died so easily. Sasuke had got really angry when he heard that. However, the Uchiha had controlled his actions. Controlling his rage, Sasuke was also affected by the death of the blonde as well, having feel it a lot. Having no idea why he believed that Naruto should be the one that should be here, despite his goal and dreams. Kakashi on the other hand, Kakashi was more subdued. It seems like he was sealing himself off. And they were right. Kakashi did this once before, and it seemed like it was happening once again. This time in a very more stable way. His emotions, everything. Knowing what he did, knowing the choice that he made. Despite saving Sasuke, everything was a lot. And there was only one way that Kakashi was able to deal with that emotion, was by simply putting it away, locking it in somewhere very, very dark and deep. Just like what he did when he lost his father, or when he lost Obito, or when he lost Ren, or when he lost Minato. Yes, everyone that he's ever loved have been taken away from him. And the sole reminder of his past, one of the biggest impact on his past, he allowed to die because he was too weak to save them both. It was a very bad thing to keep on your head, but Kakashi was not someone that released things that easily. He was not that very emotionally stable, not one bit. While all of that was going on as they lived their life, continuing their journey as ninjas, they had no idea, absolutely none, what was going on, what was truly happening, the turn of events that were going to change everything in this world. One mistake, one accident was going to cause so much problems. It's only a matter of time before it begins. And if you'd like to see that, just stay in tune, guys, because I'm going to be ending this episode right here. And if you want to see the next part on, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.